Yeah.
Hello.
Glad you wore that shirt, Hal. It's an important day to the organization.
It is.
Jason Jenkins is 50 today.
So to hit on the three guys, I was going to ask you if Craycraft and Wynn will be designated to return this week, and if Sealer's going to be able to practice with any sort of eye covering, face mask, anything like that. So Craycraft, Wynn, Sealer.
We're just beyond even hiding it anymore. Remember that when it used to be a thing? So Rivers' window will open today. Isaiah is doing well. Has had very positive weeks, or things have been trending well, but I don't know that timetable yet. And then Sealer is he's one of several. I won't know at all until closer to the game, and that's just based upon you'd have to project, and he's doing well, and we know him as a player and a person. He desperately wants to play in this game, so he will do everything he can too. And if he can't, it's because he's unable to.
No surgery?
No surgery.
Thank you.
Mike, as you progress toward this game, is it productive for you to remind the players of the recent history and performance and record against Buffalo, or is it more productive to just focus on this game as a one-game entity?
Yeah, I think it's always interesting how football is very similar to life, and so circumstances kind of gate or direct your tonality, what you focus on, and right now, I think our main focus is absolutely positively how we play football, and how we do things to win games, not things to lose games. So, everybody, it's a division road game against an opponent that, is everyone in our division's chasing, and that's, everybody knows that. But more than anything, the opponent doesn't matter, is what the perspective that you learn when you're not doing the things to beat NFL teams, let alone the Buffalo Bills. They thrive on other people's mistakes. They're literally challenging you to do right longer, and take advantage of groups of players that are unable to execute down and down out. So and they do a masterful job of, putting it on the other team to earn the win. I think that, that's right along the mode of what we're just trying to do in general. So, I don't mind having, the toughest test, or one of the toughest tests, or however difficult the scenario is, or how many years, or how long, or how many times we've lost to them. Like, we, for the sake of our jobs or responsibilities to each other, the fans that root for us, the wonderful media that works with us day in and day out. Like, we have to. So, like, I think it's important to let the team know that, the environment that you're going to get into, so you have the entire work week to prepare for it. I think it's important to know that, when we're on that field, there's going to be a very confident stadium of people, and that what are you going to do with it? So I think, yeah, a major focus on our football, understanding that this everything that we're really focusing on, that's what feeds this team. So, I think focusing on us is more than enough for sure.
Like how often does the big picture enter your mind with you guys sitting at 2-5, knowing that there's very little margin for error to get to where you guys want to get to?
I think one thing that I do, one thing that is something that I value is paying attention to experience and history, and there's so many times in seasons, flip the record, 5-2 or 2-5. I've been a part of all sorts of different seasons. So what I try to communicate to the players as best I can is, the idea of projecting records based upon yours is a false trial. So many things can happen, and the point is that, all right, you fully tool yourself to go try to be the best team that Sunday in that stadium, and then you because anything beyond that is an opportunity cost that you leave yourself less and less room for error. So I don't do much forecasting in that way, just because I've been on an Atlanta team that was 5-2 that ended up 8-8. I've been on a 3-6 team in Washington in 2012 that won the division. I've been on a 3-5 team in 2021 that went to the NFC Championship game. So like it's about how do you handle the noise, and there's always noise, and it's either positive or negative. You're either really good or you suck, and I think that is something that you don't run from, because it's never void in your experience in the National Football League. There's it's a billion dollar industry that a lot of people care about. That there's careers that are directly in it, and there's careers covering it. So like, what do you expect? You have to. Bottom line is you have to do your job and continue to find ways to learn how to do it better. And the teams that figure out how to collectively get better in the noise every single year, it's the same pattern. They're the teams that win at the end of the season. So like, whatever it is, I get, I get the natural expression of, okay, what does this mean? And okay, this team, we can win this. All of that is like, you are, whatever your record is, and you allow your record to either work for or against you. So you ride the momentum when you win, and continue to double down on the details that got you the win, or you find solutions in the loss, and you don't point fingers, you point the thumb. So for me, it's a naturally, it's quite natural for the environment to be as it is within the team and outside, in terms of like disappointment. But what do you do with that? That's my job as a leader. And people don't hire people for the high fives and the parades and stuff. This is the meat and potatoes of what my job is. So trying to communicate that on a daily basis and find ways to get guys collectively to play their best football, and finding individuals that have the most growth available to their game, and continuing to progress, because that's what's important to me, for the reasons of my entire football career and understanding the patterns that occur every single year with teams that start hot or teams that start slow. You know, it's all a journey to build to when it's win or this is your last game, or win and you have 17 games and finality. You're always fighting that, and that's what we're in the thick of right now.
You know, you lean on and trust Anthony Weaver and the defensive staff. I'm curious, how much input have you had, do you want to have in putting on the cap of the Bills offense and trying to have some input on some possible way to help slow down Josh Allen?
No, I typically, you know, the plays that work are the ones that I help with. No, I think you have to be, you know, there's a certain amount of humility that is very important to do your job well in this position, in terms of, all right, so, you know, there's so much is on the front end of who you entrust, who you choose to be your teammate and your teammates, and et cetera, et cetera. And then, you know, not being result based and really combing the details and asking the questions of whys and whats. But like, I'm also not going to pretend to, you know the tendency of the Buffalo Bills offense and second 2 to 4. Like, that's, if I do know that, I'm not calling the game. So why do I know that? You know, I think there's certain things that you can always definitely help with, and if you pair yourself with the right people, that value added can be realized, and I think that's what you know, our defensive staff does a great job of hearing you know, thoughts and opinions, but I'm very careful not to strictly be result based, because results go in ebbs and flows, but how and why you do things as your program builds and you try to put players in position to succeed, that's what matters most. So, and then being the head coach, you can you have the best, the most favorable ability to emphasize, to get return on emphasis. So, you know, for me, I look at it like, you know, if I have the loudest voice at the end of the day where people have to respond to things that I say, I better say the right stuff. So I better focus on the right stuff and, you know, try to add value that way, because, you know, you know, I bear the burden of the responsibility for all results.
Bill Belichick in his new role as one of us, sort of, he was asked about the Bills' defense once, and he put up a roulette wheel and spun it, and, you know, it had like 8 different defenses they could play, and he said this is how it seems they pick what they're going to play. It's just a random, and it really presents problems for the offense. I'm just curious whether what have you seen in your years here that the Bills' defense has done, because they've had some success against you.
No, I think it's actually, for me, you know, it's all in the eye of the beholder, but it seems to me that they have a very strong reasoning for their motivations of play calls and the defenses that they run. I do think they know when to take a chance and when it's best served to play the percentages and make offenses earn it. So it can, you know, I think, you know, from the, you know, when I first played against the Bills, it definitely seemed more random. But as I've, you know, you go against them twice a year, and, you know, a system based on fundamentals and technique that they absolutely are as coordinated of a unit as there is in the NFL. To me, their principles and how they defend gaps while holding pass responsibilities, and they have a bunch of different calls that establish very similar things, and when they think that you're comfortable, they get a little more aggressive, or there's areas of the field that there's a lot of the amount of coverages that they play is determined by the opponent. They've done a really good job. I'm not sure the percentages relative to other teams, but we see a lot of stuff that other teams don't see, and to me that means that's because it's calculated. And when you are winning more than you lose over a long period of time, I think that those calculations are pretty fair and good. So, I have a lot of respect for the Buffalo Bills football team and Sean McDermott and the job that Bobby Babbitt has done, because they've earned my respect through. You can tell they work. So they force a football team to go earn wins, not be gifted them, and that's something that I think isn't necessarily a bad thing for our football team, and I see a lot of deliberate, intentional illusion of complexity, I think.
Where do you stand in your assessment of the third wide receiver role? A lot of attention was placed on that going into the season, and yet Odell has had to deal with what he's had to deal with, and now River is coming back. How do those two guys fit into the picture, and where do you go from here trying to get production out of that role?
No, I think you challenge. I think you identify ways that things can be where contribution can come from, and you're very clear with how the third wide receiver can add value, and you let players be players, and we always have reason for everything that we do, who is on the field and who's not, right, wrong, or different. And I think Odell had coming back from the off season and the procedure, and then having one game under his belt with Tua, he absolutely had a positive. It was a step in the right direction that doesn't show up in a box score. Sometimes, the opposing defensive coordinator can just randomly call a certain coverage that he's number one and runs a good route, and there's a floating defender in his vicinity that forces Tua to progress. I thought he attacked his responsibilities the best that he had since he's been here, and I thought it was a step in the right direction. And with competition, that's the supreme form of getting the most out of each individual player. We have and I'm excited about the whole room, really, in terms of their growth, in the midst of box scores and stat lines and losses and records. Fact tells me that that room has developed over the last 3 weeks, and that's just based upon watching the film. And so that for everyone involved is a good thing. There was making it was probably the best game the whole group of receivers had, and a long time, maybe ever, in terms of making plays without the ball. I think that the development of the offensive line allows for you to have more run opportunities that are productive, but you don't average 6 a carry without receivers blocking. And I think learning as so we have really good players on this team, and two of the best in the NFL in that room, and they're learning how to make plays without the ball because that you get above and beyond attention. And I say this all the time, but like I equate it to basketball. Okay, if you have a double team, all right, the way to stop getting doubled is not splitting the double. The way to stop getting doubled is getting an assist. So, there's with the way that the presentation of defenses are, if you're trying to play football, have the time of possession, not turn the ball over and score points, you have to take advantage of what the defense is giving you. And this past game that had, I think Budda Baker's one of the better safeties in the league, and he starts from 15 yards deep and goes downhill and sprints, and a lot of receivers turn it down, and our guys didn't. So that development, the room is creating its own standard of play, and in that I see more contribution from. I see the ball coming to our 2-star guys more because of their effort in other phases of the game, and then I see more contribution. That I think a lot of guys would have. That's the box score would have looked a little different. If the particular game, the offense had more than 8 possessions, but both offenses were staying on the field a good amount, and you only have those opportunities that you're given. So, excuse me. I would be very hesitant to look at the receiver room right now and say that is the forecast for the rest of the year. They're trying to get us right and doing a great job doing it. Sorry.
Javon Holland, what's the update on him? Is he going to be able to practice this week? Where's the level of concern regarding the knee injury?
The overall for the season, not really concerned. It's not major, but for this game, he's deep working to try to make himself available. So he won't practice today, but that will be a process throughout the whole week, and one that he's been living here trying to get right to be available for this game.
Thank you.